How's it going? Today we're going to cover how to run a dryer duct system out through the wall, up the attic, and up through the roof. And this is relevant to people who have laundry rooms somewhat in the middle of their house where they can't run outside lateral ways, and it has to go up through the roof. So the way we're going to do it here is we're going to hide it inside the wall. That way it looks nice and neat and finished, and you're not seeing any ugly pipes like this exposed in the laundry room. Here's a dryer, pretty tight space. We can't scoot it any further back because of the way it's vented right now onto the side. You can't scoot it over because we'll get in front of this door and we won't be able to open the door into the garage. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is it's venting out to the garage, which causes a whole lot of moisture to be dumped into the garage. And then that vent itself has a mesh netting over it, which creates clogs with the lint. So we have to clear out that vent as well as the dryer vent in order for the clothes to dry properly. So the goal there is to redo the entire duct work. Alright, so some of the things we're going to need are this dryer vent box that goes into the wall right behind the dryer, allowing it to be hooked up and scoot all the way back against the wall. Then this flex line that will be able to flex. It'll go right in there. Then we'll have two 5-foot metal ducts that will go into the box and out through the ceiling, into the attic, and through the roof. Then we'll have this flexible angle duct. We'll be able to flex whichever way we need to be able to go out through the roof through this vent. Okay, let's look at the difference between the two vents. So this is the old one, I just took it off. And the biggest difference is it has this mesh netting, metal mesh. So what it's supposed to do is prevent the creatures from getting inside the house. But inadvertently, what it does do is it traps all the lint in the vent. I just cleaned this one out maybe a week ago, and already you can see it's starting to build up a significant amount of lint. So over time it gets clogged up and your dryer slows down, causing you to use a lot more energy and a lot more time to dry clothes. The new one, the roof vent, it does not have the mesh netting. What it does have is this round flap. Hopefully you can see it. Round flap that closes if there's no airflow, closes, and animals cannot open it. But whenever the air starts building up pressure, the flap opens up, the air freely comes out, the lint comes out, and just gets blown away by the wind off the roof. As soon as the airflow stops, the vent closes, the flap closes, and no animals, no creatures, no birds or anything gets inside your house. So that is the idea. First step would be to trim this flex line to fit snugly into this box. Right now it's too long, as you can tell. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit of it off, this much, and then replace this collar with something like this. I just kind of made this from something that was laying around the house. If you don't have one of these, they sell these duct lines in various lengths, 6 inch, 8 inch, this one's 2 foot. You just cut the piece off of this end, and then we're going to be using these rivets to go ahead and rivet it back in place. That way when we install it, it sits nice and neat into the box. The dryer is able to be slid all the way down against the wall, and this end will hook up into the metal ducts inside the wall.
Yeah.
Cut around, cuts really easy. A sharp knife. So just cut it. Slide in there. Somewhat snug. We inserted the new transition piece Now I have to pre-drill 1/8 of an inch hole through both. So with the rivets, the end with the stem on it is going to be your finish edge, which is going to be the smoothest edge. It goes into your gun. You want the smooth edge to be on the inside of the line. That way no lint or anything catches on it. So insert it through the hole. And then start applying pressure. Shit's nice and snug. Just gonna keep doing that until it breaks off. Just like that. If you look on the inside, can you see it? It's a nice finished edge on the inside. It's on the outside. Who cares what it looks like on the outside? We care about what happens on the inside. Okay, so this is the old piece, the one we cut off. This is the new piece. Went ahead and sunk in, what is it, 4 or 5 rivets in there. You can tell on the inside it's very smooth. That way when the lint comes through here, nothing gets caught up on the inside and clog up your line. Alright, so these metal ducts that come like this, a lot of times they're flat. You have to sort of assemble them. It's pretty easy. It's kind of self-locking seam right here. Just kind of bend it until it snaps together. Once it snaps together, it stays together. Snaps together. Okay, I want to talk about the importance of sealing up the seams. So you can use some of this tape, this aluminum coated tape that HVAC guys use for duct work. I chose to go with this 1030 compound just because it does a better job of getting into the seams, into the cracks, and sealing up everything. And it has a flex. It's more like a rubber substance. So as the duct work expands and contracts with heat and cold, it's guaranteed to not crack or fall off. Whereas this, over time, it will fall off and start degrading in strength. The importance of sealing up the joints is because the dryers put out a whole lot of moisture, so you don't want any of that moisture in your walls, between the studs, or in your attic. So you want all that moisture to be flushed out through the ductwork, through the attic, out through the roof, outside. You don't want any of that to be in your wall because it'll start growing mold, mildew, and all that nasty stuff. Alright, so because this is old construction type of project where the walls are finished stuff, you can't open up the walls and seal up the seams of your ducts inside the wall, so this has to be done before the ducts go in. So what I did is I applied 2 coats of this 1030 duct sealer onto the seams, and that's just this really thick paint type of substance. You just kind of paint on with a cheap brush and just coat it on there. Alright guys, so I'm going to give you a quick comparison of the 4-inch duct assembled just the way it would be. And this one just has a tape on it. So that thin layer right there is all that's sealing up this entire 4-inch duct. Something happens to that thin strip and your duct is no longer sealed. So it's leaking out moisture into the wall, into the attic. And here's the compound 1030. It just coats that really thick rubber solution into the gaps and deep into it. So that's one side. Here's the other side. And you can see how it just gets into the actual grooves and seals up in multiple areas of that crack, of that gap. So it's a lot harder for this to start leaking. This one, a lot of times just from the heat over the years, kind of degrades the tape and it starts peeling. Or if you're in the attic and you rub against that and it just kind of frays, it will start leaking on you. Okay, next part is to get this box and cut this oval shaped hole out with the utility knife. Okay, pretty easy, sharp utility knife. That's what it's gonna look like. Okay, so this is basically what it's gonna look like inside the wall. You're gonna have the box right behind the dryer, this flex line hooked up to the dryer with this adjustable collar. It's gonna go to your fixed pipe or hard pipe with the flex collar. And it's gonna go through, I'm actually gonna have two of these, one on top of the other. And it's going to be the vent up top through the roof. Now all we got to do is put this inside the wall. Okay, so next step, before I insert this into the wall, I have to hook up these two hard ducts together and then seal the seam between them to ensure there's no moisture being leaked into the wall. It's pretty easy. So the airflow is going to be going bottom up, so I want to insert the bottom duct into the top duct. Just wiggle it. I'm going to use this aluminum tape all the way around. This looks so. We have to do this because there's no way to seal this when the pipe is inside the wall. And I'm going to do a real generous coat of this 1030 compound. Make sure it's sealed up nice and easy. And there's no pretty way of doing it, just no one's going to see it. Just got to make sure it's coated nice and even and thick. And then this will have to dry for 24 to 48 hours, depending on the environment where you're in. Just a nice, liberal coat all the way around. That's it. Just let it dry and it'll be solid, ready to go into the wall. Okay, so next step is going to be putting this dryer box into the wall. Right behind the dryer, we'll push the dryer out. I know I need 4.5 inches of clearance off the ground, which we have plenty. So I'm going to put it up against the wall exactly where I need it, trace it with a pencil, and then cut it out with the Dremel. I guess this is probably the trickiest part of the entire project. I have to cut a hole through both of the top plates, and this is where the inside of the wall is going to be. This is where the vent is going to come up. The duct, I mean, is going to come up. I cut out a template right there, which is 5 inch by 3 inch, which is the exact same size hole that's going to be in the dryer vent box, which will be placed into the wall behind the dryer. So it will be the exact same hole. So I'm going to have to squeeze the round duct almost flat, like an oval shape, and squeeze it down into the wall. And it'll come up over here and go through the roof up there somewhere. So the name of the game here is going to be Dremel and some sharp blades, good sharp blades. And hopefully it's not too hard. Of course, wear a mask, protect yourself from this insulation. Gloves never hurt, and then have a hammer to be able to pry that stuff up. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I went ahead and cut through both of the top plates. Here you can see 1 and 2, if you can see that. So now we gotta deal with that insulation. You need to shove it off to the side and go ahead and stick a pipe in there, or a duct. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this piece of little stick right here. It extends out to about 10 feet. Shove it down in there and just kind of shift it to the left. Hopefully that does it. Okay, so like I said before, the hole's cut. Go ahead and shove the insulation off to the side best I could. So next step would be to get this pipe. Just have a sample piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze it like this and fit it through that hole. I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. Went ahead and squeezed it down in there, just enough to fit through the hole. I'm going to go ahead and shove it all the way down 6 or 7 feet, right to the dryer, which is just down below. And this pipe will extend all the way out. I'm going to drill a hole right here, install a vent on the other side of this plywood, and then hook it all up, and hopefully it works out great. So this is our busy intersection here. We have the plumbing vent, we have the bathroom fan vent, and now we're going to have this vent go right here in the middle of everything. So I'm going to try to line them up so they're at least in line. This one's not going to disturb this one because all it's blowing out is just air from the bathroom. This one's going to be blowing out a little bit of lint, so I want it to be in front of that one. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drill 4-inch hole. First I want to make sure that this line of the shingles is lined up with roughly the bottom of the vent here, this part right here, so they can overlay nicely. So this is going to be right about there, lined up. So we've got a nice and clean hole. Now all we got to do is get our duct, stick it down in there, and then go back in the attic and then slowly feed it into the wall all the way down to the dryer. And after that's done, we'll come up here and put this vent on. Alright, so I went ahead and stuck the duct down in there as far as it will go from the roof. Now I'm going to go into the attic. Here's what she looks like. Pipe going into the top of the wall, going into the wall, all the way down to the dryer. So I've got just under a halfway point. I'm going to keep pressing it down until it's all the way down. Alright, so we've got our hole, the duct's in. Now it's time to put the vent in. So it's going to go just like that. What we want to do is put these 2 layers on top of this sheet metal, going around the actual vent. And this part will stay on top of these shingles. That way the water flow will go over the shingles and slide on down the roof. So I'm going to measure. This is roughly 6.5 inches. And both these tabs will be cut. So 6.5 inch slit around this housing, and then we'll put the roof. Slide the vent underneath both these layers. Screw it down. Put a bunch of roof tar around it. It's easy as that. So here's what I meant. Cut all this around. This comes out. It's not trash. take my pry bar and go ahead and loosen up all the shingles. Just be careful with it. Don't force it. Just kind of pry it slightly, just enough to where you can slide this guy underneath. It doesn't take much. And then the rest of it is easy. This will just slide in. Be sure and dry fit it before you install it. Slide in like that. So we know it fits. Now all I gotta do is take it out, put tar all the way around it, put it in, and then put tar around it, screw it in, and it's done. So I put a generous amount of tar underneath the vent before I put it in. I'm going to lift it and do the same thing at the bottom. Don't be shy about the tar. Just like that. Press it in. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go get tar underneath this part here, all the way as far as I can reach. And I'm not shy about it one bit. Now I'm going to take these roofing screws. They're self-sealing. They have this rubber washer on the underneath of it. And I'm going to put one here and one here. And they're real easy to go in and go right through the sheet metal. And seal up just nice and easy like that. I don't have to put any tar over them. And all that does is just secures this vent to the roof. So the pipe is down all the way into the box right behind the dryer. And this is what's left over, about 2 feet. So now we've got to go from here up to the vent, trying to make up this difference. So I'm going to be playing around with different fittings, see what would be the best option. Alright guys, here's what we got. So this is where the original pipe stopped. I cut another 2-foot section of piping. Then I have an adjustable 90 and another adjustable 90. It goes out all the way to the roof vent. So ideally, you want this duct to be as straight as possible all the way out to the vent. I couldn't do that because of where the wall is and where this joist is, the roof joist. I can't just remove them. So what I did is I had an adjustable 90 and made as smooth of a 45-degree angle as I could with this one and with this one all the way out to the vent. So yeah, it's not straight, it's not ideal, but it's gonna do the job, and it's certainly gonna be better than what I had before, where the vent was just going down into my garage and just fogging everything up and creating a whole lot of staining moisture in there. So this will do. So what's left now is I'm gonna tape up all the seams with this aluminum tape, and then I'm gonna take my 1030 compound and just generously coat everything up. All right, so here you can see the taping. So I taped up all the seams, right here and right up there to the vent. So now each one of these folds, each one of these seams, anywhere where air could possibly leak out, I want to go ahead and use the 1030 compound and go ahead and seal it up to be sure that there's 100% no air leaking out. All right, went ahead and sealed up all the seams, everything, with a 1030 compound. Anywhere there's a seam, anywhere there's a crack, it is now all airtight. Okay, so I'm up here checking everything out, making sure it all works just fine. And it just happens to be raining outside. It's been raining for about an hour, hour and a half, pretty steadily, which gives me a perfect opportunity to come up here and check for leaks. And as it turns out, I did a pretty good job. I don't see any water, I don't see any moisture. The dryer is on right now, so I'm feeling around all these seams for any leaking air, and I don't feel anything. So it's a nice sealed up system, no leaks, it's sturdy. So the last thing I'm gonna do is that gap right there, right here, the excess space. What it does, it leaks air into the house. So during the winters, it leaks cold air into the house, and during the summers, it leaks hot air into the house. So anywhere there are holes in your attic going down towards the main part of the house, we want to seal them up, which is exactly what we're going to do here. What we're going to use for the job is this gap and crack sealer. Great stuff. You can buy it at Lowe's, Home Depot, really pretty much any hardware store. This one's Home Depot. And what we're going to do, this is a messy job, so make sure you're wearing gloves, because if you get the stuff on your hands, it's not going to come off for quite a few days. And we're just going to, hopefully you can see that, generous amount of it. And this this stuff will last forever. So I'm not going to run out. Something like that seals up the gaps. It's going to, as it's drying, it's going to expand and really fill any void that was open. And it's going to seal it up and dry up nice and hard. That way no air will get into your house, no bugs, nothing. A few weeks ago I spent about two and a half weeks crawling around my entire attic and just insulating and sealing up any gap I could find, and I blew in a good 6 or 8 inches of insulation into it. And I gotta tell you, it's made a huge difference in our heating bill, where the heating is actually retained inside the house. And the last finishing touch is put the insulation back where it was before you started, to ensure the house is nice and insulated all over. Alright, so it's all installed, the dryer's on, and the vent is doing the job. Alright, we're all done. So now you can tell that the dryer is able to go back even further than the washer. And it goes almost all the way to this wall. And we can actually open the door now. So we have created quite a bit more space. This is a tight laundry room. It's in the middle of the house, so we're doing the best we can with it. But most importantly, we installed a vent that goes all the way out to the outside through the roof versus into the garage, where everything gets constantly fogged up and moisture's always in the air. And now we're up to code as far as the Virginia code is concerned. Overall successful project. It took a few days, but well worth it. It's a lot more energy efficient, a lot safer, and it meets code.